Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into an essential topic in economics: perfect competition versus monopoly. We'll explore how different market structures shape the way firms compete and how this impacts consumers like you and me. The journey will give us a clearer understanding of the economic forces behind the prices we pay and the choices available in the marketplace. Let's get started. When we talk about why market structure matters, it's important to understand how it shapes key economic outcomes. Economists analyze how different types of market structures influence prices, the amount of goods produced, profits, consumer choices, and overall efficiency. On one end of the spectrum, we have perfect competition, a situation where many sellers offer identical products, leading to very competitive prices and high consumer benefit. On the other end, there's a monopoly, where a single seller controls the market, which can lead to higher prices and less choice for consumers. These two extremes provide us with important benchmarks to compare and understand the variety of markets in between. The bustling market scene you see here is a great example of a more competitive environment with many buyers and sellers interacting, which directly impacts how prices and products evolve. Here we're looking at the basic concept of perfect competition. Imagine a busy market where many buyers and sellers come together, all offering the same kinds of products, like the variety of fruits you see here. In this type of market, individual firms don't have the power to set prices. They accept the market price as given. This environment is open, meaning new sellers can easily enter or leave the market without heavy restrictions. Understanding this definition is key, because it sets the foundation for how prices and competition work in perfectly competitive markets. Let's take a closer look at the core assumptions of perfect competition. First, all firms offer homogeneous products, meaning the products are identical and perfect substitutes for each other. This ensures that no single product stands out over another. Next, buyers and sellers have perfect information. They fully understand prices and product details, enabling them to make well-informed decisions. Another key point is free entry and exit. Firms can enter or leave the market without any barriers, which keeps the market dynamic and competitive. Finally, there are many firms competing in the market, so no single firm has the power to influence prices on its own. These assumptions together create a market environment characterized by intense competition and efficiency. Here we're looking at the concepts of price and profit within a perfectly competitive market. In the short run, firms are price takers, meaning they have to accept the market price without influence. Due to certain market conditions, these firms can actually earn economic profits during this period. However, this situation changes over time. As new firms enter the market attracted by these profits, competition increases. This influx drives economic profits down, and in the long run, profits tend to diminish to normal levels. Essentially, the market self-corrects, ensuring that no firm makes excess profit indefinitely. The image of various toothpaste brands illustrates this point well, as many similar products compete in the same market, keeping prices and profits in check. Here, we're focusing on the fundamental concept of a monopoly. A monopoly occurs when there is a single seller dominating an entire market, meaning there are no close substitutes for the product or service they provide. Because of this dominance, strong barriers prevent other competitors from entering the market. This unique position gives the monopolist the power to influence prices by adjusting how much they produce. So, unlike in competitive markets where price is set by supply and demand, a monopolist can strategically control output to manage the price. This control is central to understanding how monopolies operate in the economy. When we talk about where monopoly power comes from, two major factors stand out. First, legal protection plays a big role. Many monopolies exist because the law grants exclusive rights, like patents or licenses, which prevent other companies from entering the market. This legal shield helps a company maintain its dominant position without competition. The second key factor is network effects. This means that the value of a product or service actually grows as more people use it. When a large user base builds up, it creates a strong barrier for newcomers trying to compete, since customers prefer the product everyone else is using. Together, these two elements, legal protection and network effects, explain how monopolies establish and sustain their market power. Here we see a comparison between competition and monopoly in terms of price and output levels. On the x-axis, we have the market structures, while the y-axis shows the indexed levels for both price and output. Notice that under competition, the price is lower and output is higher, indicating efficient production and consumer benefits. In contrast, a monopoly results in a higher price but lower output. Reflecting the market power, monopolists have to restrict supply and increase prices. This trade-off highlights how monopolies can generate higher profits, but often at the cost of reduced availability and higher prices for consumers. Understanding this dynamic is crucial when analyzing market performance and regulatory policies. Here we compare perfect competition and monopoly across several key dimensions. Starting with the number of firms, in perfect competition, there are many small firms competing, while in a monopoly, there is only a single firm dominating the market. Regarding the product type, perfect competition features homogeneous products, meaning they are identical and interchangeable. In contrast, a monopoly offers a unique product with no close substitutes. When it comes to entry barriers, perfect competition has none, allowing new firms to enter freely, whereas monopolies face high barriers that prevent or limit new competitors. Pricing power is another important distinction. Firms in perfect competition have no pricing power. They are price takers, while a monopolist has significant control over the price. Finally, when we look at long-run profits, firms in perfect competition typically earn normal profits due to free entry and exit, but monopolies can potentially sustain long-run profits because of their market control. This table clearly highlights how the structure and behavior of these two market types differ fundamentally. Let's start with allocative efficiency. In a perfectly competitive market, resources are distributed in a way that maximizes consumer surplus, meaning consumers get the most value possible from goods and services. This scenario represents an ideal state where supply meets demand efficiently. Now moving on to monopoly effects. When a single firm dominates the market, it tends to reduce the overall output and increase prices. This shift harms consumers because their surplus, or the extra benefit they receive from purchasing products at lower prices, is diminished. Finally, deadweight loss is an important consequence of monopolies. It refers to the lost economic efficiency when the quantity of goods produced and consumed is less than the socially optimal level. This loss ultimately lowers overall social welfare, making the market less beneficial for everyone. The image of shopping carts here reminds us of real-world retail settings where these economic principles play out daily. Here we have a look at real-world examples of different market structures. First, let's consider highly competitive markets. These are markets like agriculture, where numerous producers sell very similar products. Because there are so many sellers, no single producer has much power to influence prices. It's really all about supply and demand. On the other hand, we have monopoly-like markets. These are seen in industries such as utilities, patented pharmaceuticals, or local cable services. In these cases, competition is minimal or non-existent, meaning a single company often dominates the market. This can lead to less choice for consumers and different pricing dynamics compared to highly competitive markets. The image here of a bustling nighttime cityscape with glowing traffic reminds us of the complexity and activity behind these diverse market types in the real world. Now let's talk about how governments respond to monopolies. To promote fair competition in the market, governments use several tools, such as antitrust laws, regulations, and price caps. These measures are designed to prevent any single company from dominating the market unfairly. However, not all monopolies are seen as negative. Some are accepted, especially when they arise due to patents, natural monopoly conditions like utilities, or large fixed costs that make competition impractical. Understanding these nuances helps us see how policy balances market efficiency with consumer protection. The image here of the gavel symbolizes the authority and enforcement power behind these legal frameworks. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the key takeaways from today's discussion. Perfect competition and monopoly represent two ends of the spectrum when it comes to market power. On one side, perfect competition shows us how rivalry among many firms drives efficiency and benefits consumers. And the other, monopoly demonstrates how control, concentrated in a single firm, can limit choices and